excited today to be speaking with this phenomenal, incredible woman, this powerhouse that I call her of sorts. And she is definitely changing the game in her industry, in her field, and how she is serving and showing up for people. And that is none other than Dr. Yes, I put it in front of it. She's a doctor, honey. Dr. Brigitte Bojkowszky. Welcome to the Power Transformation Podcast, Dr. Bridget. So great to have you.
Thank you so much, Alithia, for having me today. It's truly a delight to be here with you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we will learn so much more about your journey and just how you have become who you are today. But I always like to start with all of my guests, just a fun, lighthearted icebreaker question. And so this is my question for you. Dr. Bridget, when you were growing up, what was a career path or a job, or what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I grew up, what age do you want me to
As a
mention?
kid, as a child, don't overthink this. Yeah.
I wanted to become a flight attendant. That's it.
Really?
Always.
Wow.
When I was a little kid, when I flew the first time, I was like, oh my God, I want to be like them. One day I'm going to be a flight attendant.
Wow. That's
Yes,
amazing.
Mhm.
What is the youngest age that you can recall yourself flying or even having that awareness of that's what you want it to be?
Since I can think of.
Wow.
Was pretty much nothing else than that.
Huh.
I always wanted to become that. I was always fascinated by airplanes, first of all, while they're flying. I couldn't believe
Yes.
that there's people sitting in there. And then I was
Mhm.
like, okay, how would it be up there? And looking down on Earth, it was a mystery for me. And then when I grew up, I more and more, I was reading into it and yeah, and then I set my goal to become a flight attendant one day. This was it. And so I worked for that. And I did a lot
Yes.
for that.
Exactly, exactly. And we are going to touch on that as well as how you have become who you are today. But
Mm.
it's quite incredible to me that you knew so young that that's what you wanted to do and you actually achieved it. And that leads me to this question, not necessarily about what you do just yet, but if you were to be asked this question, how would you respond? Who is Dr. Brigitte Bojkowszky?
It's someone who has quite had an adventure in her life.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
This is how I would answer it. That's me.
wow.
That makes me. And all the experiences in all my different chapters that are seemingly very unrelated, but in
Mhm,
retrospect, totally makes sense. Because
mm,
each chapter that I went through, from a flight attendant, then student, then being a corporate, then student again. So I just quit my job, went back to university because I got the position as a research and teaching assistant to go for my PhD, my doctorate. So I
mhm,
did that. And then back into corporate, into leadership roles, and then from corporate into becoming a teaching professor. And then from that, slowly I started my own business on the side, and now I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm guiding others to see their light, to becoming more of themselves. And yeah, it's I think um, every person's journey is a becoming. It's the
mhm,
question of what you want to achieve. What is it that makes a difference, that help you make a difference in other people's lives? And I was
mhm,
searching for that all my life. And, then there was, okay, as a professor, you teach students, and as a corporate, you help create a successful, thriving business for someone else, and of course for yourself too, because you're part of it. But at the end of the day, there is an overall vision that you have, no matter in what role and position you're in.
mhm,
And that is, I think, for most of us is when we look back to, yeah, when we look back and see our life in retrospect, to think,
Hmm.
yes, this was right. I do not
Yes.
regret any of my decisions, any of my steps, because everything made sense, and you leave something behind. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Even
And
though.
and
Mhm.
and I think it's so important that people understand that is that it can be easy at times to wallow in regret, but I like your perspective is that you don't have those regrets because I think that everything and every experience is a part of our journey. And you've given us quite a bit, and I'm glad that you did. And that leads me to say, let's just touch briefly on what you do now. If you could explain that just a little bit more, and then we'll go back along in terms of your journey. But in this present moment, tell us, how do you serve people and what exactly do you do?
Okay, so today I work with high achieving leaders, whether it's women, it's men, or anything in between, kind of,
Mhm. Yes.
executives and entrepreneurs. And despite their success they have, Alethea,
Hmm.
it's often they feel unseen and misunderstood. Something is,
Mm.
they have built impressive careers or businesses, but they still feel something is misaligned. Yeah, they feel misaligned within themselves. They know there is more of them
Hmm.
that wants to shine. Yeah, there is something that they have not uncovered yet. Yeah, there is layers of conditioning that we need to, work through until we find what it is that we want to bring out to the world through
Hmm.
who we are, our identity, that what we are sending out to the world. Yeah. And
Yes.
that's where I come in. I help them uncover and reclaim their so-called, I call it brilliance. Yeah. Their
Hmm.
greatness, their uniqueness, their sweet spot.
Yes.
They find their authentic identity and then also build a brand that feels true to them, but also feels true to others who are following them. A brand that feels powerful and aligned with their values, with their essence. So in short, I empower authentic visibility so my clients can be seen for who they truly are and make the
Wow.
impact they meant to be. Yeah? Because very often they they show, yeah, they are successful, they are seen to be this and that in this or in that role, but they are not seen for who they truly are. And that's where the
Mhm.
real essence is. And that's where I, I mean, we call that the authenticity,
Yes.
our true self, our true being, our true essence, and we live that, then suddenly it opens up a whole new aura of a whole new energy that when you get in touch with that person. And that's it, what I wanna, you know, bring out of the people.
Mhm.
Now, this is what needs to be out there. So I wanna help people shine their true essence. This is my
Indeed.
vision is a world of authentically shining identities. That's
And
what I want to create. Yeah. Mhm.
that's beautifully stated. And just listening to that and seeing your passion and hearing it in your voice is very awe-inspiring, and it can give people hope because I've encountered people who may just think that the way that their lives are now is how it must be. And I'm of a totally different thought, is that there is not any person that has to remain stuck in who they currently are. And when you bring up this whole sense of identity, it leads me to the question of, let's go back a bit in time and just tell us, how did your identity growing up shape this person who you are today?
Ooh, tremendously.
Mm.
Because that's a journey, and a journey from pain to purpose.
Mm.
And I think that's where purpose lies very often. It's how we grow up and the conditioning while we grow up. because I come from an environment where there was not enough money, and my parents or my environment played small all the time. It was, there's not enough money, we are not enough, and don't speak up. We don't have anything to say. Others are better than us, and it's irrelevant what you have to say. So that kind of puts you down, and that creates, when you are evolving, when you are working on yourself, when you want to break out of that box that you are forced to kind of, put yourself into. And for me, that started an internal war. I had an internal conflict going on, because I always wanted to reach out. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to shine. I wanted to be there. But at the same time, I was braking, I was hitting the brakes. I was accelerating. I was, and at the same time, I was holding myself back, because there was always this inner voice: you're not allowed to. You should not. Who do you think you are? And
Wow.
this is not how we do it. And so there is this environment living that mindset. Also, this being conditioned, staying in a fixed mindset. Don't ask for more. Yeah, be grateful for what you have. Why can I not
Oh,
be grateful for what I have, and at the same time asking for more? Because I'm capable to deliver. Yeah, I can make a difference in this world with who I am. So that has been a journey. And it's when you have this inner conflict, you want to go, but something, someone, people, mindset is holding you back. This is really, really difficult. So I've been working on that all my life. And I think
exactly.
it's also something that I've learned from. It's a hard learning, and very, very hard learning, but it also made me who I am today. It's part of my becoming. And I think I needed to go through that, because I also have now the empathy, and also the empathy of feeling other people, where they are, what they are going through. And I'm also compassionate enough to support them, because there is this difference of being empathic, having empathy, and also being compassionate. Yeah. So compassionate means empathy plus action. You're taking action, you're going beyond, you're going this extra mile to support, to help, to guide others to get there. So what I am doing is I'm helping others to understand faster, quicker, to have an easier, a lighter journey than I had.
Wow. And it goes to show you also that how you start does not have to be the way that you end. That your present circumstances do not necessarily predict your future. And that's obvious in your life, is that despite the environment, despite situations that were adverse and challenging, you chose another way. And it's very interesting, Dr. Bridget, when I hear you talk about mindset, on how you had to work on your mindset, by the simple fact even that you had a goal as a young girl to be a flight attendant, and you accomplished that goal, that took mindset. And so how has mindset, when did that journey, so as to speak, begin in your life? And what was that catalyst that made you think to yourself that my life can be different? It does not have to be this way.
Okay, so you're absolutely right. You don't need to end where you started, and I also want to communicate to our listeners that in every minute, in every second, you can choose again.
Ha!
Yeah.
Wow. Yes.
And I think choosing again means also sometimes choosing the hard way or a harder way, because you're leaving your comfort zone. I mean, ending there where you started means you are in a fixed mindset, right? So it's, yeah, you say, okay, this is it. This is who I am. There is no other way. Yeah, we always have been like that. And that's our family. That's tradition. And at least it's safe. I know what's coming. Yeah. And this, I know what's coming. When you want to end somewhere else, you need to leave this comfort zone. It's about daring to step out of it and confront yourself with nothingness. You don't know. You just don't know. Very often, it's still within the framework of a calculated risk, right? So for me as a flight attendant, I mean, I loved it. I learned so much about it. Yeah. But I also knew if I stay a shrink, because it was nothing more I could learn. And I knew I need to do something in order to elevate. So there was, for me, I knew there was something else that I can do, how I can help, how I can serve in this world. So that means also letting go something. I jumped plane and I didn't know where I gonna land. I did not have a parachute. I knew I'm gonna study. So that was a new world. I didn't know, do I have the brains for it? I just need to figure it out. But there was no going back. So there was a risk of actually losing everything. My childhood dream to be a flight attendant for the rest of my life, that was gone. And I was not quite sure if I'm, if I'm bright enough, intelligent enough, here we go, intelligent enough to pass any of the exams and to graduate from school. And I did. I was one of the A students.
Yes, me too.
The thing is, when you have worked before and there's time pressure, you only have that much money left. Then you are very much intentional of what you're doing and how you're doing it. And then, I mean, in the US, you have to pay tuition. Here, everything is for free. There's people studying for 20 years, spending the taxpayers' money for nothing, basically. Yeah. I have to say that now because it's true. But in other countries, you have to pay a lot of money. So you have another mindset also going into something. I start this and I want to finish it in time. Yeah.
Yes.
You're under time pressure, basically. So, that
It
was
just, yeah, you responded well. It's giving me a lot to think about because one thing that stands out to me is the fact that although you absolutely loved being a flight attendant, you knew when you had tapped out, so as to speak, you hit that ceiling of where you wanted more for your life. And it's fine if a person chooses to stay in a role a long time, but you knew that your life was meant for more of a global effect on others. And you weren't exactly sure how that was going to happen, but you trusted your instincts. You went with the flow of things and it happened. And it begs me to really ponder this, is that something that we had talked about earlier when we did our chat, even prior to this interview, you really said about you will often, as a person, find answers within yourself, and that brilliance is your outer expression. And so, hearing this from you and seeing your journey evolve, how did that brilliance, that outer expression, even lead you on the path to being a professor, a totally different field from what you first entered into? Take us there and what that looks like, not just in your life, but how it can show up in the world around us.
Whew. When just before I went through such incremental, I have to say incremental because you're reinventing yourself basically. Before I went through such transitions, I mean, living a life as a flight attendant is really, really hard because you're living in a totally different world, in a global world. And that's why I consider myself also as a global citizen. But
Mm-hmm.
you go here and it's nothing normal. You are 14 days away, 10 days away. You're flying from here to there. Everything becomes like, yeah, this is life. But I was then searching for a deeper meaning for myself. Yeah, I have seen everything. I have learned so much about people, about culture, about how to serve, in excellence, in making these exceptional experiences. But I was starting to miss something. And I think that's where it starts. You are starting to miss something and you are ready. There is something to come.
Mm-hmm.
Something needs to change. There is something coming up. And that means you need to listen to what you feel inside. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
help you if you ask like a dozen of people. Everyone will tell you something different because it's their perspective on things. I mean, you can listen, you can make sense, you can kind of think about what their meaning is and how it integrates into your life. But at the end of the day, the answers are all within you. Yeah, and that is this introspection and branding, real branding. When it comes, when we want to bridge it to branding, branding is identity work. It's identity thinking. Who am I, and what aligns with the here and now? And what is it that I want to become that totally resonates, that brings joy, that brings passion, that
Wow.
brings all the perseverance that you need in order to get there? Because sometimes life gets hard and tough, and the learnings are so hard that you want to cry, you want to not get out of bed anymore, and you're asking yourself, Lord, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
And you start questioning, and yeah, everything becomes unclear and things get worse. But this is you need to go, I think, when there is a real breakthrough, you need to go through this kind of breakdown to really go very, very deep, asking yourself all these questions and then slowly getting up again and finding the answers. And you find the answers only in yourself.
Ooh. And breakthroughs lead to rebirth.
Yeah. And
Oh.
then you have asked me, yeah, what is this like internal work and
Mhm.
external? Yeah. So
Mhm.
I always say your brand is the visible expression of your invisible essence. So once you really understand what's going on in you, who you are, what you want for your life, then once you find it, it shows, that
Mhm.
expresses through your voice, through your style, through your behavior, through your whole personality. It rings through your personality. And when you're a business owner, it rings through your business for sure. And if you're a leader, it rings through your leadership brand, your leadership style. So it always starts with you, and it always starts inside. It's an internal, let's come back to that word, internal awakening.
Yes.
In here, it's
Yes.
nothing externally validated. It's not an external exercise that because someone tells you you have to, you know. Um, no, it really is something that starts within, and
It is.
yeah.
Wow. And what brings out curiosity for me, especially with the excitement and the thrill and the joy of the work that you're doing and how you serve, what was that light bulb moment for you? Describe to us that moment when you decided, I want to do broader scope work in helping individuals bring out this brilliance, to be awakened. What caused you to go down this current path? Because I think it's absolutely extraordinary that this is the type of work that you do and that's very needed in our world today. But how did you decide this was the sweet spot for you in this season of your life?
Okay, that gets very, very deep for me right now, this question.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you can
And this is
answer it
good.
any way that you
Yeah,
choose to.
that's good because I think it's gonna resonate with a lot of people.
Mhm.
There was no one, no, not only one specific light bulb moment.
Mhm.
There was several.
Mhm.
Yeah. In every transition, there was one or two where I said, okay, now. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's when people tell you, listen, for example, at the university, you want to climb the career ladder, the university. If you want to do that, you need to go somewhere else. There is no career path for you. As a teaching professor, once a teacher, always a teacher. So there
Mhm.
is nothing to climb up. Either you stay, yeah, and be whatever you are forever and start shrinking because this is it. Because if you stay in something, you are not staying constant. You're gonna shrink because if you're not learning, then it's it's nothing that helps you to go forward with anything. Yeah, you're kind of spiraling in the same thing. But this was a moment where I knew, okay, I have to change because the system is not changing for me. So that was one of the triggers, one of these, you call it light bulb moments, where you understand, okay, I have to change, I have to go, I have to leave because it's my life. Yeah. And I can do better, right? It's not that I didn't like teaching at the university anymore, but if you do not have a goal of when you do not have something to work for, to climb, to thrive, then you feel like trapped in a box.
Mhm.
And that and when you're trapped in the box, you're fitting in. And I call that box the box of inauthenticity. You're
Ooh.
hiding, you're shrinking, you're making yourself small because, yeah, that's how it is. You're kind of giving up. Yeah, you're doing that in order to be accepted, in order to belong, in order to get the money, in order to, you know, serve for others. But what about you? And when the pain to stay in the box is higher, stronger than the joy of feeling comfortable,
Mhm.
then it's another. Enough is enough, and the transformation starts.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then you feel lighter. Something is coming. Yeah, this is when you're getting out of this box, this lightness and this easiness, even though it might be a hard and stony journey ahead, but still you have it under your control what your next steps are. You can participate in your becoming, right? When you are in that box, you're playing by others, what others want from you and what others tell you how you have to be. So that was one of my light bulb moments. And there is another one is when the financial crisis hit in 28.
Mhm.
This was
Yes.
really interesting because I was working for an international real estate development company, and the company went bankrupt from one day to the next.
Oh.
I mean, it shocked me to the core, but that moment was a light bulb moment again, a catalyst for growth. Yeah,
Mhm.
all these difficult moments are usually catalysts for invention, for reinvention, for transformation, for growth. And I had this huge aha in that
Yeah.
sense
Uh-huh.
as I realized I needed, because I was so in this work, in this role of this corporate, I was living the corporate identity. And I was not seeing myself anymore. I was in this rat race, and I realized that I am allowed to create something that no one ever could take away from me. And that's
Ooh.
my identity. And my identity is how you show yourself to the world, and that's your personal brand. It
Mhm.
exists whether you manage it or not. It is already there, but it's on you what you do with it. And therefore, I hardly recommend and suggest, please take care of who you are and what you are becoming. Yeah, be more intentional about it. It's about awareness. Yeah.
Mhm. Wow.
Mm.
It's your life. I want the listeners to know it is your life. And this idea of not conforming to the mold or the identity that others desire a person to be is quite poignant and significant. And if there's someone out there who is living a life that others chose for them and not living in their truest form and may think it's too late for them, what would you say to that person?
Uh, I think moving forward isn't just, you know, moving forward is a decision.
Yes.
Said before, you can choose again and again and again.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. The question is, what do you want in life?
Hmm.
And the question is not, what do I not want and still don't do anything?
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's really about what do I want and how do I do it? How do I get there?
Mhm.
Right?
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah.
And
And
I think that having the right people around you are also
exactly.
key.
Exactly. And it's also a daily choice to take just one step. Yeah, even when the path isn't clear, just one little step. And with each step, with each action, you build your confidence. And then you see that it's not as difficult as you think would, right? So you cannot eat an elephant with one bite, right?
No, you can't.
Want to get out of a situation, you think, oh, you snap with your fingers and da 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 da, things are just evolving by itself and happening by itself. I mean, you have to take action. You really need to want it. I said before, it's about the pain you're in. How strong is the pain? Is it not as strong? So you still remain in that setting, in that environment? Or do you say it's enough? Because you can choose and it's your life and things are
Mhm.
changing with you. Also the dynamics, it's all systemic, right? So
Mhm.
with you changing, everything else is changing. I know when you have family and you are integrated in a system and you're playing a role in it to keep it running, how do I break out of that? Yeah.
Mm.
It's not
Mm.
always easy, but it's a choice. And I think it begins inside. Yeah.
Mhm.
And usually when you're feeling most lost, yeah, the shift comes and then ask yourself, who am I becoming? What is it? What's my vision? Um, what is my why? Why am I here in this world? Yeah, this is another
Mhm.
question you can ask yourself. And what values do I want to live by every day? Because
Mhm.
when you base your decisions also on your value set, it's so helpful, yeah, to stay in that on that path, yeah. And I think many of us are not referring to those tools or to
Mhm.
that what is so integral in making life more intentional and having more
Mhm.
awareness of ourselves and who we are surrounded by. And as you say, when you're walking such a path, it's good to have accountability partners, people who are on the same journey, people who really have an understanding. And I talk here about the people who have an understanding of where you are, because if I talk to my parents or talk to someone who is not in my business, who doesn't really understand what I am doing, they
Yes.
have their own problems, their own perspective on life. But if you are surrounding yourself with people that they understand me, they can feel me, they can truly feel me, they can give me better advice than anyone else. But still, at the end of the day, you choose. It's just an advice. You don't need to take it. But it's really
Mhm.
to put things into perspective, to have
Mm.
a reference, to create a frame of reference where you are in. And having different perception on a problem, on a challenge is always good, because
Mm.
that opens up, that brings in more ideas that you can use. You're opening up, you have more kind of data points to make sense of.
Yes. Oh,
And that's
and
also self-care. Yeah.
yes, it is. That is self-care. Thank you for bringing that up, because I think sometimes people apply self-care to, oh, I had a spa day, or I went out and took a walk, or I read it. Those are some forms of self-care, but this is a higher level form of self-care. And it's very
Absolutely.
important because it's going to be more long-lasting and sustainable. And so that type of self-care is the type that leads to ongoing transformation. So how would a person then in turn, and how have you even continued this ongoing journey of transformation and not stagnation, of not staying in one place? How does transformation tie into all of this? But just not that, but the ongoing work of it.
Yeah. I understood when I'm not happy anymore and
Mm.
I feel like stuck, and when something is not quite right, and I always can choose, right? Do I want to, commit myself to that and let
Hmm.
other people dictate my life, or resignate and say, okay, that's it right now? But I always, I think, I ask myself then, is this my life? Should this be my life? No, I don't
Mm.
want this to be my life. There is more. And I think everyone has the right to, to create the life they envision and go for it. Very
Yes.
often we might not get there. There's a saying, think big, because the bigger you think, the more you can grow. Doesn't necessarily mean you get there, but there is more room to grow. Yeah, but when you say, okay, I can't get anywhere, then you're always going to be stuck in there. But you gotta need to open up. And I think we need to allow ourselves to think bigger, because there
Hmm.
is more. There is more to create. And that's what I do. I never could. And this is also something I think, if I wouldn't do it, I regret at the end of
Oh,
my life.
yeah.
And that's why I do it. And even though there is the risk of being not successful, or that it goes different that I wished it to be, others would say it was a failure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Still, you learn. There is a growing aspect of it. But
That's
if
right.
you don't even try, you have already failed. So why not at least trying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
giving your best and
Mhm.
thinking not only positive, but feeling it. I know it's also difficult to feel something that you don't know.
Mhm.
But the more you train yourself, you get in this behavior of anticipating, of this visualization of how could that feel like. And I think the more you get there, and
Mm.
go there, what you think and what you feel. Yeah, you are attracting everything that you're thinking and that you're feeling. That's how.
Ooh, yes. And I don't think enough people talk about that or are aware of the body mind connection and how we can will certain things into our lives. I had a brief incident last night. It wasn't anything egregious and she meant no harm by it, but I had worn heels yesterday. And sometimes after I wear heels, my toes cramp. And my mom meant no harm by it. But, when I told her that, my mom is a type 1 diabetic, and she's had nerve damage for many, many years due to that. And when I told her, I said, "Oh, I have a cramp in my foot." My mom said innocently, "Oh, it could be some neuropathy." And I said, "No, no, not at all." I said, "No, I just have a toe cramp." And I said, "Mom, words have power." And I said, "I know you
Yes.
meant no harm by it, but I said, that is not my story. It is not nerve damage. It's just a toe cramp." And
Yeah.
something innocent like that, although that's my mother and I love her and I'm close with her, I still could not allow those words to be my reality. And we must be careful of what we speak to ourselves and what we're thinking.
Exactly. And you're bringing up something else, and that's also considered self-care. And
Mhm.
this, it's really an overlooked branding strategy, the self-care. It's to set healthy boundaries. To
Yes.
set healthy boundaries for yourself. You can love your mom, but you need to be really, really clear in a very nice, friendly, genuine way.
Hmm.
Then let it go. And something else, I mean, this positive thinking and feeling into. I mean, we are all human beings. There are days, yeah, there is something that just goes wrong, and then you
Yes.
questioning the whole world and your strategy and your life and everything. Yeah. But this is okay. But then you need to get up again. This is about resilience. And
Mhm.
yet here you need your inner circle, these accountability partners. I call my friend in Washington. I leave her an audio message, and I know she's going to respond
Mhm.
and she's going to lift me up. She has the words when I don't find words for myself in this
Oh,
very moment. And this is so important to have these people that you can trust. They are the rocks. And then, yeah, you need just this little nudge
mhm.
thinking to reframing, and then you are on track again. But we're humans, and that's how it is. But you need to know what helps. What tools can I draw on that help me to continue growing and going for the vision you have decided to go for?
Wow, I could talk to you for hours on this. This is just so intriguing to me, and it's a passion area for me. And I do have a closing question, but prior to that, Dr. Bridget, if a person is listening to this and want to learn more about you, your offerings, curious, want to even connect with you as a possible client or to work with you, how can people find you and connect with you?
Yeah, so they can connect with me anytime
Mhm.
via my website. Can look up my website, be bridgetbrands.com, but can also get in touch with me via LinkedIn, via Instagram. I'm on Facebook rather rarely, but
Mhm.
LinkedIn is my preferred social media platform. You also, I think you're going to put my Calendly in the show notes.
Yes. Mhm.
So that
Yes, I
is there.
will.
So you can also get in touch with me via a one-on-one call. It's for free. And yeah, I also have a free download for you. And I actually have created a second one. I will also send this to you. One is the three-step entrepreneurial branding blueprint. So it's a checklist, a guide that helps you if you are embarking on your entrepreneurial journey or you're refreshing your entrepreneurial brand. It's a guide. And then I have another one. It's a framework of how to build an irresistible brand. So that's
Ah.
another freebie that I'm giving away. Yeah. So reach out to me anytime. And yeah, what I do, I work one-on-one in personal branding and leadership branding. I also do group coaching. So I'm going to kick off the next ones at the beginning of next year. And I'm also running retreats, personal branding retreats, and it's called I Am Becoming.
Oh, that is wonderful. So much to offer. And I'm going to have so much in our show notes regarding that. And as we come to a close and wind down from this significant interview and everything you've said, you've dropped so many golden, valuable nuggets, and I'm so grateful for you. But as we come to an end, I do have this one question for you is, Dr. Bridget, what has inspired you the most on this journey? You have such an exhilarating story, and so much more hasn't even been shared because there are certain aspects of our life that we keep to ourselves and should be, I think. We aren't supposed to tell it all because I think it also adds to the fuel and the flame of what we're doing so that we can keep going. But if you look back on your entire journey all the way up until now, what has inspired you the most?
Oh, that's a difficult question. Because in all of these chapters, there was so much inspiration. But I think who inspired me the most was one of my heroes, my first boss with the airline. It was Niki Lauda himself. I don't know whether this is still a personality. He was a celebrity, a famous person. He created the airline Lauda Air. And he was a former Formula car race driver. And there's actually a movie about him on Netflix. It's called Rush.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, his whole life was about having a vision and staying true to himself and going for him. And having this passion to also get people, motivate and inspire people to follow his vision. And he had everyone behind him to follow him. And that inspired me. And there were so many roadblocks in his life, so many. And he had this perseverance and to go for that vision and to overcome anything. And I think that inspired me the most. And he's a role model for me. He's a hero for me because I know giving up is not an option.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Power Transformation Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow or subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. It helps us inspire even more listeners. And don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who could use a little power in their transformation. Until next time, keep bouncing back, keep rising, and be good to yourself and to others.